On this auspicious Ekadasi day, we'll read something from Prabhupada Lilamrita, actually from the volume describing additional pastimes, originally published as separate booklets, but now included in the Lilamrita. So this is in Montreal, Canada, or Montreal, as the Francophone Canadians pronounce it. Hare Krishna. More loud. More louder. Okay. Hare Krishna. It's better now? Yes. Okay. So, Prabhupada is in Montreal, or Montreal, as pronounced in French. This is in 68, I believe. Yes. And Prabhupada had to leave USA for visa reasons, but because Canada is was part of the Commonwealth, so he could, being an Indian citizen, he could take shelter there for some time. And many things happened there. Among others, this was the time that I think both Gopal Krishna and Maharaj and Jayapataka Swami, they actually joined in Montreal at that time. Hare Krishna. Two of the biggest leaders in India, if not the world, of ISKCON. So anyway, Srila Prabhupada is in his room with some of the devotees, and as you can understand, it's just that there's going to be an initiation the day after. So Prabhupada says, he's speaking to the devotees, so you are being initiated. Prabhupada addressed the devotees in his room. Therefore, you should make it your responsibility and duty to spread this message, to follow the principles strictly and become pure Vaishnavas and preach all over the world. Don't worry where you will sleep or eat. Krishna will see to all these things. You simply have to become sincere in service. That's all. Just be sincere. Govinda Dasi raised her hand. Prabhupada, she asked, what does it mean exactly to surrender? Surrender, Prabhupada replied, is to know that I am nothing. As Prabhupada spoke, Govinda Dasi, accustomed to taking dictation, wrote down the answer, while other devotees, some seated on the floor around Prabhupada's desk, some standing in the doorway, listened attentively. I should know, Prabhupada continued, I am less than the stool of a hog. And Krishna, you are everything. That is very difficult. We can find millions of Isaac Newtons or Einsteins, but one very rare soul might be surrendered to Krishna.
Hare Krishna. तो जो लोग हिंदी अनुवाद सुनना चाहते हैं, परिक्रमा मार्ग में हिंदी अनुवाद हो रहा है, कृपा करके हिंदी अनुवाद सुनने के लिए परिक्रमा मार्ग में जाएं.
Oh, translation.
Yeah, Hindi translation in परिक्रमा मार्ग.
Ah, okay. So it will be simultaneous. I don't have to.
No, you go on speaking English.
Okay.
They are translating.
Simultaneous.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We can find millions of Isaac Newtons and Einsteins, but one very rare soul might be surrendered to Krishna, because it is very difficult. So as long as you are thinking that he is more learned than me, or I am more learned than him, that is material. You must know that you are nothing and surrender. A new boy who had been attending Srila Prabhupada's classes asked, "Why is it that one time I feel this way, like you say, surrendered, but at other times I forget?" Prabhupada, that is Maya. That is our battle with Maya. We are in Maya's kingdom. So we have to fight. It is like an ocean, birth and death. There are so many universes and so many species of life, and we are transmigrating birth after birth. It's like you're standing on the edge of a boat, and just a little shove and you may fall into the ocean. Then you do not know where you are going, here or there. So it is like that. If you want to keep back even 1%, to surrender all but 1%, then you have to stay here. Krishna is so strict. If you have any desire for material enjoyment, you have to remain. Just 1% may take millions of years. So you have to surrender everything. Krishna consciousness is already there within you and within everyone, but it has to be invoked. It is like a match, and if you rub it, fire comes out. And that rubbing process is chanting. So we have to inject Krishna consciousness into the ear, and we have to go on injecting. Wherever you go, you have to chant, and without any motive. Gaurasundar brought in a plate of cut fruit, which Srila Prabhupada distributed to each person. It was late, but Prabhupada continued speaking. People want to go on asking God for bread, but as soon as there's bread elsewhere, they won't go to church. But if you teach people to love God, that they will never forget. Prabhupada smiled. Finally, the devotees left him satisfied. They would see him in the temple in the morning. So, Prabhupada says something here in the beginning of this section which I read, which is something which he repeatedly talks about. As you can see, if you are aware of it, you can see that it comes up again and again in Prabhupada's lectures, in his books. He talks about how in his answer to Govinda Das's question, what is surrender? And Prabhupada said that actually, just before Govinda asked that question, he says that don't worry about where you will sleep or eat. Krishna will see to all these things. You simply have to become sincere in service. That's all. Just be sincere. This is one, of course, of the items of surrender, which is listed in, I forgot, it's for sure, it's in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharanagati and other places also. So to depend fully on Krishna for everything. And it's also stated in when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on that Bhagavad Gita verse, which Prabhupada he would very often refer to that verse and to Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary on that. Vyavasayat Mika Buddhi Ekeha Kuranandana. Vyavasayat, how is it? Avyasayatmika Buddhi Buddhayo Avyavasayana. Something else, sorry, I'm mixing it up maybe, but that those who are on the path of Krishna consciousness, they are fixed in purpose. Their intelligence is one-pointed, contrary to the materialist who is irresolute, as Krishna says, Bahushaka hi anantascha. Their intelligence is many-branched. So commenting on that verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he points out exactly what is this one-pointed intelligence. It means to take the order of one's spiritual master as one's life and soul. So Prabhupada, when he read that became actually the key to unlock the instruction which he received as the very first instruction and the very last instruction that he got from his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, namely to preach Krishna consciousness in English. I want to read something from this wonderful book, which was authored by Raminda Swarup on behalf of the DBC, because here he very nicely relates one time when Prabhupada explains how this understanding is actually the key to success in Krishna consciousness. He had that realization himself, and therefore he could, with great conviction and power, he could convey this to his followers and to all of us. Ravinder, he writes here, he says, "It is our good fortune that Srila Prabhupada was quite open in sharing with us how he gained his realized knowledge and how that knowledge enabled him to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master and establish Lord Chaitanya's movement as a global venture." Srila Prabhupada offered one remarkable disclosure in 1968 at the temple in Los Angeles, occasioned by the observance of the disappearance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Looking at the rows of young American faces lifted up to him, Srila Prabhupada wondered out loud. "I was born in a different family My Guru Maharaj was born in a different family. Who knew that I will come to his protection? Who knew that I would come in America? Who knew that you American boys will come to me? These are all Krishna's arrangement. We cannot understand how things are taking place. But then Srila Prabhupada goes on to tell how his presence at that day in Los Angeles came about. In 1936, today is 9th December 1968, that means 32 years ago in Bombay, I was then doing some business. All of a sudden, perhaps on this date, sometimes between 9th or 10th of December, at that time Guru Maharaj was indisposed little and he was staying at Jagannath Puri on the seashore. So I wrote him a letter. My dear master, you are the disciples, brahmachari, sannyasi, they are rendering you direct service. And I am a householder. I cannot live with you. I cannot serve you so nicely. So I do not know. How can I serve you? Simply an idea. I was thinking of serving him. How can I serve you seriously? Unquote. The seed from which all else grew was simply an idea. Discontent with his occupation and business. Feeling himself incapacitated by the obligations of his ashram, on an impulse, all of a sudden, Prabhupada wrote his Guru Maharaj with a plea, a cry from the heart. He felt himself locked in a position which made proper service impossible. Yet, still, the desire to do it was there. So he confessed his desire and his frustration to his spiritual master. Prabhupada continues. So the reply was dated 13th of December 1936. In that letter he wrote, My dear such and such, I'm very glad to receive your letter. I think you should try to push our movement in English. That was his writing. And that will do good to you and to the people who will help you. That was his instruction. And then, in 1936, on the 31st of December, that means just after writing this letter, a fortnight before his departure, he passed away. But I took that order of my spiritual master very seriously. But I did not think that I'll have to do such and such thing. I was at that time a householder. But this is the arrangement of Krishna. If we strictly try to serve the spiritual master, his order, then Krishna will give us all facilities. That is the secret. Although there was no possibility, I never thought. Unquote. It was a startling and unexpected and incongruous and entirely improbable order. Incongruous means just incomprehensible, just mind-blowing, you may say. Push on our movement in English. That was, in fact, the cutting edge of the Gaudiya Math's preaching. It meant go to the West, to Europe, to America. It was a well-known order, already conveyed to many leaders, sannyasis and brahmacharis in the Gaudiya Math. But now the recipient was a householder, doing business in Bombay, entangled in domestic and commercial matters, helping out the temple as much as he could. He was, as we say today, a congregational member. Prabhupada confesses that he could not envision any concrete circumstances in which it could be realized. I quote, "I did not think that I'll have to do such and such a thing. Although there was no possibility, I never thought." Nevertheless, he took it very seriously. At the same time, it was the last direct communication he received from his spiritual master. That gave it even more weight. And he surely remembered this order echoed the request he received on his very first meeting with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur 14 years previously. So he understood he must take it seriously, even though he was initially baffled. How in the world would it happen? As it turns out, it happened by the arrangement of Krishna. Yet, something more is still required. For what prompts Krishna to make such an arrangement? The seriousness of the disciple. Quote, if we strictly try to serve the spiritual master, his order, then Krishna will give us all facilities. That is the secret. This is Srila Prabhupada's realized knowledge. Now Prabhupada goes on to tell us how. Again, by Krishna's arrangement, he learned this secret. Quote, although there was no possibility, I never thought. But I took it little seriously by studying a commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is the verse, Vyavasayatmika buddhiya ekha kurunandana. In connection with that verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives his commentary that we should take up the words from the spiritual master as our life and soul. We should try to carry out the instruction, the specific instruction of the spiritual master, very rigidly, without caring for our personal benefit or loss. Unquote. Here is the immediate source of Prabhupada's inspiration. The realization he received from reading Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on Bhagavad Gita 241. It was the key that unlocked the order of his spiritual master. It became the foundation of his life and achievement, the only secret of his success. Again and again, Prabhupada directly and indirectly refers to this defining moment of his life, when he was granted the realization to make the total commitment that come what may, he would make the order of his spiritual master his life and soul. Because of that commitment alone, Krishna has brought him to America and given him success. Quote, so I tried a little bit in that spirit. So he has given me all facilities to serve him. Things have come to this stage that in this old age I have come to your country. And you are also taking this movement seriously, trying to understand it. You've got some books now. So there's little foothold of this movement. Now, Prabhupada requests his own disciples to enact the same commitment to his order that he has evinced to that of his Guru Maharaj. Quote, so on this occasion of my spiritual master's departure, as I am trying to execute his will, similarly, I shall also request you to execute the same order through my will. I'm an old man. I can also pass away at any moment. That is nature's law. Nobody can check it. So that is not very astonishing. But my appeal to you on this auspicious day of the departure of my Guru Maharaj, that at least to some extent you have understood the essence of Krishna consciousness movement. You should try to push it on. Unquote. Execute his will is a play on words. The expression means, of course, to carry out the order of someone, but it is also the formal legal term to refer to the process by which a person's assets become those of his heirs. By his commitment to execute Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's will, Srila Prabhupada inherited from him his specific potency to spread Krishna consciousness. On this occasion, Srila Prabhupada is now making his will. Quote, I shall also request you to execute the same order through my will. I am an old man. By his will, Prabhupada has made us his heirs. He imparts as his legacy the instructions that, if accepted, transfers to us the same potency to deliver people to the shelter of Krishna's feet. Quote, I shall also request you to execute the same order through my will. This is an extraordinary moment. It is the act of transmission of spiritual potency by which we can all become empowered, just as Srila Prabhupada himself became empowered. Then Srila Prabhupada tells us what that same order is. Quote, at least to some extent you have understood the essence of Krishna consciousness movement. You should try to push it on. People are suffering for want of this consciousness. As we daily pray about devotees, Vancha kalpa tarupyascha kripasindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. A Vaishnava or devotee of the Lord, his life is dedicated for the benefit of the people. You know, Most of you belong to Christian community. Our Lord Jesus Christ, He said that for your sinful activities, He has sacrificed Himself. That is the determination of the devotee of the Lord. They don't care for personal comforts. Because they love Krishna or God, therefore they love all living entities. Because all living entities are in relationship with Krishna. So similarly, you should learn. This Krishna consciousness movement means to become Vaishnava and feel for the suffering humanity. Unquote. The order he received in the form "Push on our movement" in English is now retransmitted to us in the form "Become Vaishnavas and feel for the suffering of humanity." Srila Prabhupada took this to heart, as the song instructs. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Korya Vaikya Arna Koriho Mane Ash. Make the words from the lotus mouth of Sri Gurudev one with your heart. Aspire for nothing else. The achievement of Srila Prabhupada is the proof of the potency of these instructions. Many others had received the same order from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but in the event, the demonstration of Yavasa Yatmika Buddhi was his alone. Hare Krishna. I just came from Prayagraj. Was there for 1 week. And, I was there 12 years ago also. And, I mean, things have greatly improved as compared to then. It was a very big camp and a massive book distribution, massive prasadam distribution. And of course, partly by the grace of Mr. Adani, who gave a huge donation for the first time. His first time he ever gave anything to ISKCON. But I was, a little jokingly, I was told Sanak Sanat, and the organizer of the camp, I said, he should finish the TOVP also. For him, that's not a big thing, it's just, he could do that very easily. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe Krishna will inspire him from the heart. So anyway, I was talking with devotees there. I spoke with one brahmachari from, I don't remember where he's from, but he was asking me because, we were talking about, the situation of ISKCON globally, and specifically compared in the West, where I come from, and here in India, and how, things have turned around, because everybody knows that the start of ISKCON, that was in the West, especially in North America. There are more Prabhupada disciples in North America than in the whole rest of the world taken together. They are leaving us at a big pace. They're very old now, most of them. And so that was the Hare Krishna explosion. It happened over there. And when Prabhupada was preaching in India, sometimes he would remark that here I'm practically wasting my time. So many when I'm preaching in the West, so many young people, they come and want to follow me, but here the Indians are not interested. He was complaining like that. But certainly that has flipped. Now, we used to, hear about the glorious days of the Gaudiya Math. There was an army, a preaching army, so many brahmacharis and sannyasis preaching all over India. 64 maths were opened and so on. And, they opened this wonderful, magnificent temple in Bagh Bazaar in Calcutta. I went to see there some years ago. I went for the first time to see the Bagh Bazaar temple. I was not impressed because, compared to, temples like this one, it's not so impressive. There's even in its heyday, the Gaudiya Math, I spoke with another brahmachari in Mayapur, and I remarked, I said, it was a disaster when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left this world and everything fell apart. But Krishna has certainly made up for that. ISKCON today, I said, it's 100 times of what the Gaudiya Math was in its heyday. He said 100 times, 1,000 times. It's you can see how things don't work according to material calculation. Everybody would have thought the Sankirtan movement is finished now after the departure of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when his disciples started quarreling about who should be the new leader. And of course, for some decades things appeared to just basically stop, come to a grinding halt, as Ravinda says somewhere. Only one person actually had the faith, the determination, the intelligence to try to continue what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta has started. But from that one person, just see, how Krishna empowered Srila Prabhupada to create this amazing movement. But to get back to this discussion I had with this devotee in Prayag, because he asked me, because I told him, India is, ISKCON in India is just exploding, and there's so many temples, so many devotees, so many books distributed. It's really fantastic what's going on to West. I'm sorry to say, but it's not. It could be a lot better. It used to be more dynamic, and he asked me, why is it like that? What happened? In North America, it was the big explosion was during Prabhupada's time. In my part of the world, means Northern Europe, or in Western Europe in general, it came a little later. It came like in the 80s. When I joined in 80, and we were I saw in the 80s quite a number of young people. They came, local people, young hippies, as myself, came and took up Krishna consciousness. But now it's not so much happening. mostly, the ISKCON, if it wasn't for our Indian congregations, we would be very, very small in the West, frankly, to tell you the truth. And he was asking, what is the reason for this? Why is it like that? And I wasn't able to immediately answer. Obviously, it's not so simple. There are different reasons why things go the way they go. But we came to the conclusion that one reason is that many devotees and congregation members, they became disappointed when a number of our senior leaders, they were not able to follow their vows. They left Krishna consciousness, many of them, and many became disillusioned because of that. And it's not the full explanation, but it's certainly a part of it. People, they're looking for shelter. If there's a powerful leader, then most people, they like to be in a movement where they can, some powerful person who can show the way, they can trust him, he's an example, and, like that. That's the common psychology, I guess. So, but we also agreed that those who didn't leave, those who, like myself, I went through all this, and somehow I'm still here by Krishna's grace, and he was kind of in the same category, and we agreed that the difference is between those who became disillusioned and those who didn't lose their faith is because somehow or another, by Krishna's grace, speaking for myself, I developed a strong connection with Srila Prabhupada. And that really, because of this, I think that was probably the main reason. It didn't affect me that much when my guru left the movement, because I had this, I felt this connection. One of the reasons was that I was allowed to serve in the BBT as a translator, editor, proofreader of Prabhupada's books. I was involved in the production of most of Prabhupada's books into my little local language, Danish. So that was my service for 10 years, to read Prabhupada's books. So, this gave me such a foundation that I knew that, Srila Prabhupada is, he's actually our leader. And the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is whatever, just because somebody is not able to follow, that's not the fault of, Krishna consciousness, of the Bhagavatam, of Krishna. It's just our weakness, and it's not a reason to become discouraged. So yeah, I guess I could share that with you. And that's also the idea why we are reading about Prabhupada on this every Ekadasi, and that's the point of this book also, that everyone in ISKCON, we should establish a strong connection with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has not left us. He's still here. He's present in so many ways. Srila Prabhupada would remark in a similar way that somebody may think that Arjuna was so fortunate that he could hear, from Krishna directly, but what about us? It's 5,000 years ago, and We are not so. Prabhupada said, no, there is no difference. If you read Bhagavad Gita, hear the instructions of Bhagavad Gita through the chain of disciplic succession, there's no difference from, hearing directly from Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The spiritual potency is still there. The proof of that is in the result. Those who actually take shelter, who have understood this, they get the same benefit. They become happy. They transcend the miseries of material existence. And they have become empowered to spread this movement. Okay. We are nearing the deadline of this class, so if there is one or two questions, comments.
Haribol.
Is there a microphone for this gentleman?
Thank you, Prabhuji. I remember meeting with the Mahakumbh Mela only last week and taking forward from that. Like you said, Prabhupada's time, and you said that now in India, ISKCON is going at a very fast rate. So Prabhupada told us that whatever success ISKCON got in India is largely because of our tireless efforts of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj when he made him the GBC of India.
Yeah.
That's my only comment. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada said that.
Yes, he said that in Bombay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Gopal Krishna Maharaj was certainly, he carried the maze of empowerment.
Yes.
Yeah. But we should all become empowered in the same way. That's the message.
Can you bless me? I can do.
Yeah. You have the blessings of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. That's much better. What can I give?
Good wishes.
I'm trying to become a devotee myself, so that's what I can do. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So you read this Prabhupada Lilamrita. So there is one point that one devotee asked Prabhupada that whatever you say, we should be surrendered. So we feel like surrendered. But another moment, we forget. This point we forget. Then Prabhupada says, this is Maya. And you have to fight. You have to fight constantly with Maya. And Prabhupada says, even to become 1% Krishna consciousness, you have to keep staying here. And he also said that you are sitting in a boat. So this boat is given by Prabhupada, and the name of this boat is International Society for Krishna Consciousness. ISKCON boat.
Hare Krishna.
And if you get even one jerk or one pushing, you will go in the ocean and then nowhere. You don't know where you are. You are going here or there. So in the same way, we have to be very, very careful that to remain in this boat, we have to associate with devotees and not offend any devotees. If we get some offense, we offend some devotee and we just fall down in the ocean, then very difficult. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, we see this happens even, it's still happening to many senior people in our movement that somehow they get swept away by Maya. I see this even very recently. So, of course, there are different things to say in this connection. One is that we shouldn't think that they are lost. They will come back, all of them, because Krishna consciousness, usually the path of the conditioned soul back to Godhead is not a straight one. Usually it's quite a crooked path. There may be setbacks on the way, but as Krishna, he assures us in Bhagavad Gita that in different places actually, he says in the second chapter that even a little progress on this path can protect us from the greatest fear. And later on in the 6th chapter, when Arjuna is asking Krishna, what happens to the yoga brashta, the fallen yogi? What is he like a riven cloud that has no standing anywhere? Krishna said, no, don't worry. He's still very fortunate. In the worst case, he will enjoy. He will go to the heavenly. That's the worst case. He goes to the heavenly planets to enjoy there for a long time, and then after that he comes back to the earth in a very good family, either in a family of learned Brahmins or wealthy merchants. Like that, where he has a good chance to take it up again, Krishna consciousness. But that's the worst case. Those who fall it's only after who have only practiced a short time. Those who have, practiced for many years, like I think I can say, like 40, 50 years. That's a long time, in my perception. So Krishna says those who fall after a long time, they directly take birth in a family of great transcendentalists, which means, this is your last birth in this world. If you become, the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur or somebody like that, it's practically you really have to be determined not to go back to Godhead. So we should remember that, and sometimes we see that these confusing things happen. At the same time, we should also be very careful, because even though it is a fact that it's never lost whatever we have done, but it's no fun to be in the material world, in the ocean of birth and death. We're still going to suffer if we leave Krishna consciousness. That is a fact. It's not that we shouldn't be envious of those who, left the movement and are again enjoying in material life. No, they're not enjoying. There's no happiness out there. We should know this for a fact. And this should also make us very careful. I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to leave this boat of ISKCON. It's Hare Krishna. I should stop, I think. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
हे प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की, गौर हरि प्रभु की, हरे कृष्ण।